How are
And
you?
I would say I'm fine. Thank you so much. How about you?
I'm fine too. So thank you for joining here today with us, and thank you for sharing your experience.
It's my
Um,
pleasure.
can you give us a brief summary about yourself? Like,
Oh, okay. Yeah, sure. Then I can directly start. Maybe yeah. Let's start with Sabancı University. As you already know, I studied my bachelor in Sabancı University in computer science and engineering. And after that, after graduating the Sabancı, I went to master in Germany to Ulm University in cognitive systems. Cognitive system is, let's say, more about machine learning, a little bit combination of psychology and next to psychology, like how to adapt how humans are learning to the machines, let's say it. After that, actually, I went to ETH Zu for finishing my master thesis. And in ETH Zu, I work in computer vision, a little bit in deep learning, working on generative adversarial networks. And afterwards, luckily, I kind of got an offer from Apple. And since 9 months, I'm working in Apple as language engineer. I'm working in natural language processing with Siri component. So if you ever use Siri, more or less, yeah, we are working to improve Siri for you.
that's really awesome, to be honest. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
So I'm passing to the second question. Were you thinking about studying computer science when you started Sabancı University, or did you decide it after the first year?
Mm, let's say, of course, engineering was on my mind. I came with the mindset, yeah, probably I will study engineering, but I was not so sure. And somehow the second year, these introductory courses help a lot. I had chance to get a lot of courses, mathematics, electronic engineering, mechatronic engineering, and computer programming courses. But let's say in the beginning, I was not so sure. Actually, for me, the turning point was the third year. In the third year, I got a bit more AI courses, machine learning courses. And afterwards, I was like, oh, okay, this seems a little bit more interesting, maybe. Yeah, let's go AI. That seems, yeah, also trending topic right now.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's right.
Yeah.
So, what areas of computer science were you interested in? Is there any reasons that you are interested in AI, machine learning? Anything
Mm,
comes to your mind?
let me think. In the beginning, actually, I also started like everyone else, like basic computing classes, like introduction to programming. And of course, if you start like programming classes, it might be pretty straightforward at some point, and you might be thinking, you might be, I don't know how to say it in the right way. You might still have that in turning point. Okay, what should I do now? It's time to choose my specialization courses, and in that time, I think one of the courses really changed my mind was computer vision. I took computer vision course, and it was super fun. It's actually, you cannot even say maybe machine learning at that point because it's classical computer vision. Just basically, you are playing with pixels, a bunch of matrix of numbers, and from that, you are creating some analysis, some results that you can observe right away. And it was quite fun for me. And afterwards, I actually decided, okay, let's also see machine learning because computer vision is also related to machine learning side by side.
Yeah. You took
Uh, yeah,
computer vision course at Sabancı, or did you take it yourself? Like, you took
it's a
computer
bunch actually.
at Sabancı? Okay, that. Great.
Yeah. I mean, of course, for second year, I wouldn't suggest, at least I would suggest wait until third year because it might be too heavy. Don't jump right in. At least make sure you are taking some mathematics courses like linear algebra and some probabilistic would also help, especially with machine learning. Yeah, just go it with the your own speed. Don't rush it, I would suggest.
Okay, thank you. My next question is, you were an assistant while you were studying at Sabancı University, right?
Yes.
What can you say about being an assistant? Do you suggest it to the students? I mean, did it have any impact on your career?
Let me think. It depends, actually. Definitely, it's a nice experience to have. And if you think about staying in academy, I would suggest to the people who wants to do a PhD at some point or who wants to stay in research in universities. But let's say if you are not so sure or if you are focused on, after you finish your studies, you want to directly start working in a company, I would suggest like maybe finding an internship or part-time job in a company. Then you can actually see what is practical work. But of course, if you are not so sure, I think it's also a really nice opportunity. Like maybe also that TA job will change your mind. If you are open to experiences, why not? For me, it was helpful because I really like actually how to say, to be in communication with the newcomers, and also when you, I don't know, share what you know, you also feel like you are internalizing all the concepts, and it helped me a lot from that perspective.
Okay, thank you. Did you do Erasmus? If so, where did you do your Erasmus at? And what can you tell us about it? How was your experience?
Yes, I did Erasmus, and I did my Erasmus in Sweden. It's called Ulm University. It was a little bit west side or east side, I'm not so sure, of Stockholm. It was a nice experience in general. But for me, let's say it was more like cultural experience. When I went there, I was more trying to improve my English and trying to get to know people from other countries. Of course, you can also use that opportunity as an academic opportunity. Especially, I would suggest for the people to Germany. I think Germany has great universities. Yeah. Let's say, I think also first time that you go abroad, it's more like a time and opportunity for you to actually, how to say, have personal improvement, like improve your vision, and a little bit like, okay, there's also another world outside.
Yeah, it's a new culture. I mean, it's something new.
Yeah.
It's out of your comfort zone, so it's something to add to yourself.
Exactly. I mean, the first time probably you also leave the house from your house and coming to Sabancı, it's also kind of a bit scary. And it's just on top of that, you are going to another country and you cannot ask your mother, your father anymore. Like, okay, mom, I don't know what to do. They also don't know.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's a good experience. By the way, if somebody else has any other questions, they can always write to chat and we can ask them to Sevim. Okay, so my next question is, many people are really curious about internships. Where did you do yours? How did you find the place you did your internship, and how was your overall internship experience?
The first time that I did my internship was between second and third year. And in that time, actually, I did in a startup company. It was about web development. It was totally irrelevant, actually, so far, what I did. It is nice to have that experience, especially if you are in the beginning of your career and if you don't know what to do. It's important to, search for different opportunities and see, okay, do I like this? how do I communicate with other people? Like, do I want to be in industry, or do I feel more comfortable in, I don't know, in academic environment?
Yeah.
You can start questioning them. For finding internship, of course, there are different platforms. First of all, I think definitely it's quite helpful to know someone within the company, because usually the companies give priority to the people who give the CVs, resumes from inside. And except from that, also there are sometimes job openings in platforms like LinkedIn, Glassdoor. In those platforms, also, if you can follow the advertisement from time to time, I think it can also help. And even sometime you can just send your CV to someone from LinkedIn, or I don't know. Of course, not directly send it, but like try to first introduce yourself. Okay, hello, I'm this, blah, blah. And after that, maybe mention like, okay, I'm looking for this. What do you think? But I think for me, it was quite helpful in the sense, like in the university, in the master university that I was in, there were some job boards directly in the university. And in the job boards, like there's, how to say it? Yeah, job boards, people and all the companies were putting adverts. Yeah, announcements.
Yeah.
They were kind of putting posters. And from there, many people were applying. And when I applied from there, usually I got a response very fast. Maybe some kind of cooperation who can follow those advertisements and can share through a network might be also helpful. But of course, for that, you need extra time, extra effort.
Yeah, right. So you said you were an intern as a web developer, and then when you were in third grade, you decided to take computer vision and AI classes. Is there any reason that changed your mind? Like
for taking computer vision, you mean?
Like you did your internship as a web developer, and then when you started school, you decided that you like AI and computer vision, machine learning. Is there why did you change your mind?
Actually, it was not until I took the computer vision or other AI courses. Before that, I was also still taking some electronic courses.
So you still weren't sure about computer science too, right?
Yeah.
If you were taking...
Exactly. I was actually also in that time taking signal classes, and I was even more in favor of electronics because of all the signal classes. Yeah. But somehow I took computer vision, and in the computer vision we had some exercise classes. In the exercise classes, you are working in a team, and my teammate was great. We were kind of working together and having so much fun together. Maybe it also kind of motivated me a bit. The concepts were fun to investigate. Like I literally enjoyed debugging all the time. I know it sounds so geeky and cheesy, but like debugging and like seeing the result right away was kind of motivation for me. Okay, I can do that.
Okay, that's great. Were you thinking about doing a master's when you graduate, or were you thinking like going directly to the field, like starting at a job?
Actually, when I was about to graduate, I always thought I would go into academy because of the TA jobs that I had. The TA jobs were quite fun for me, being in that environment. But somehow, in that time, of course, like everyone else, you also apply for other jobs for keeping yourself under guarantee, let's say. So definitely, I would suggest both apply master and jobs.
Yeah.
And afterwards, I think it's easier to make a decision. Which one you feel more excited, you will automatically know. And actually, in the master, I was also still thinking I would do PhD. Yeah. Somehow, what changed my mind? Maybe let's say the master studies can be a bit heavy because you will be directly working in big projects, and they are giving you a lot of responsibilities. And literally, you are responsible from everything, and you need to know everything. Not really like you can debug with your professor anymore. You can just give high-level details. And if how much your professor pushes you, you should always investigate more and more. So they kind of try to give you some sense of ownership of your project. From that perspective, it was quite enlightening, I would say. But also after that heavy studying, I wanted to take some break, let's say.
Okay. Can you tell us what led you to start working at Apple?
Sorry, one more time?
Can you tell us what led you to start working at Apple?
Good question. Actually, I really considered myself lucky. In that time, I didn't even consider Spain, Barcelona, or Apple. I didn't even send my CV to Apple. And a recruiter from Apple contacted me from LinkedIn. And he was like, we have a position, like ML position, and we think you are suitable for this position. Would you be interested? And after that, we started all the interview process. It took more or less 8-9 interview in total. And from the beginning, I was really comfortable. Yeah, Apple is like big dream. If it doesn't happen, it's okay. And somehow being that comfortable also, I think, made me express myself fully. And really, in a way that I never expected, I got the offer. And after, of course, you get the offer, you think like, okay, maybe this is once in a lifetime chance. Maybe I should take it. And yeah.
You got offer from Apple. Sure. Oh, sorry. Can you hold on for a second? My computer just went off. Sorry.
Oh yeah, sure, no problem. Maybe I can.
There's some questions, in the chat.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. So we got a little break because of my computer.
Okay. Maybe should I go over the questions they put, or like do you?
Yeah, that would be great. Great. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Then maybe I can start with the question of Serhan. He's asking, how many schools did you apply for master? Was it all the same major area? Actually, let me think. In Turkey, I applied a lot of schools, most top schools in Turkey, but in Germany, I applied 3 universities. And in US, I just applied one PhD program. And in Germany, I applied computer science, 2 computer science programs, and 1 cognitive system. And cognitive system was recently new in that time. It's kind of, when I say actually, of course, the combination of psychology and computer science, it sounds super interesting because like, I think all of the people at least more or less interested in psychology, and you are wondering like how they are combined together. And it's combined in a way like, somehow you can try to study the cognitive skills humans have, like learning, remembering, memory collection, and it somehow can be related to neuroscience. And if we can imitate, let's say, human brain in the machine, or what are the limitations so far we have in computer industry? Why are still machines not like human? Why didn't we come to that level? And next to that, there's also another thing called like user experience. Like user experience is also quite important topic in my opinion. Like it's more important in a sense, like somehow if you don't know how users are interacting with your product, you wouldn't satisfy your user. So somehow they kind of make some psychological experiments, like how they communicate with these technological tools and how we can optimize them in best way. Like, so they wouldn't put so much effort in, figuring out how to use the tool. And I think maybe I also gave a little bit answer and I think some friend was asking, Ali was asking your experience in cognitive systems. And he's also asking, as a language engineer, what are the linguistic programs you are working on?
Yeah, I was gonna ask the same question. What are you working on Apple? So you can answer both of them.
Let's say so far we are more in the working with ML problem, not really. Of course, one of the biggest problems we are having right now, how to improve the model without forgetting the other data. And privacy is a big topic. Like you cannot really keep the data of the users. And without keeping the user data, how to improve your model without degrading data. It's a linguistic problem in the NLP, like somehow you have to have some semantic learning, like how the sentences map to different semantic categories. And since Turkish is a language with suffixes change a lot of meanings, and it's actually one of the biggest problems ever in Turkish. And somehow you also need to figure out how to manage those little nuances. It can be, I don't know, let me think. Like, let me come back to that later on. But I would say, as a language engineer, what we are doing so far is in in Apple, let's say we are trying to improve Siri in a way like, first of all, you need to understand what the user is saying. So you can say speech recognition. You're also responsible from that part. And of course, like sometimes even when you listen to the audio, you don't even understand what the user is saying. And somehow also the distance to the tool is also important. Sometimes, because of the distance, all the voice quality can drop out. And next to that one, there are very similar words, which can be easily mixed by the model, even sometimes by the humans. And of course, you don't want the user to be repeating the request over and over again, because that's super annoying.
Yeah.
And after that, let's say you have perfect speech recognition system. You need to understand what the users are saying from just, I don't know, at most 10 words maybe. And from 10 words, you need to give satisfying output. And sometimes there are also limited model capacities. You cannot really do think in a cascaded way. Somehow you need to still satisfy the user. In that way, like you are trying to create a robust model, which will create the best model in general user level. And after that, of course, like the next step is in the OS level. After you map it to the semantic categories, you basically just run the command in OS level. Yeah.
Okay. I'll keep on with my question.
I'm not sure if I explained clearly, but we can go into that one later on.
However you want. Should I go with my questions, or do you want to?
No, you can go.
Okay.
With the
all right.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to ask, what languages do you use at Apple? Is there any specific tools that you are using? Can you inform us about it?
Let's say, I think, of course, having good time in a language is super important. Like at least Python or C++, I think if you are comfortable with one of these language, it's good. It's already good. But I think what Apple is interested in is like more like analytical thinking, like how you are thinking. It's even sometimes okay if you give pseudocode and your syntax is not 100% correct. And most of the time, also Apple is using heavily internal tools. So when you first start in Apple, like the first month will be basically training of the internal tools. But I would say Python would be a really good point. And maybe Objective-C is not used that much currently, I think, in the industry. But Objective-C, if you are interested in developing iOS products, it can be also nice. And maybe like something like R for data analysis, and maybe Ruby can be also nice.
Okay, thank you. So how is the social life at Apple? How does the company treat their employees?
It's actually super nice. I would say it's based on trust culture. Somehow everyone thinks like you are kind of selected for a reason.
And you are.
And yeah, actually everyone is super amazing. Everyone is kind of having super nice qualities. They kind of work in amazing companies before or studied in amazing universities before. Yeah. And I would say it's a friendly environment in general. Somehow you can ask anything about. Also, I don't know. It's not that important. Like if you started new or if you are already working, I don't know, for 3-4 years, everyone is kind of in the same level. Because also everything is all the time changing. Somehow everyone thinks like we are both in the same way. We are both trying to improve this together. So if I don't see something, probably somebody will see it. So let's ask, and there's open discussion environment, I would say.
Like it's like a really like a team, like teamwork. Everybody knows it's a teamwork. That's really nice.
Yeah.
Okay. Do they support employees to improve themselves? How does Apple react when employees want to change their fields, like their interested areas? How does Apple react to it?
Yeah, actually, that's a quite good question. Apple supports the improvement of the employees. You can take actually some online courses if you want, and if you take online courses for certificate, Apple pays it back for you. Yeah. And these courses can be also from Stanford and all the MIT, blah, blah, if you find the right course for you. And if you, of course, you need to get approval from your manager first, not directly started. And after that, if you want to, let's say, work on something specific, every year, let's say there is a review process. And in this review process, if you make it clear, sorry, I saw one funny question, but yeah.
Have you ever met them? That's the one.
Yes. No, not yet. Basically, like if you want to work something on specific in this review process, you would say, okay, I'm interested in this topic, really, blah, blah, and you would share why you are interested. And every year, basically, your manager puts a plan for you. Okay, let's see if you want to work on this one. I will also spare some time for you to work on this one. But still, you need to follow your duties. Basically, they allow you to slowly improve yourself in the field that you want to be in. But of course, your work contract is on something specific. You still need to do that.
Yeah, okay. All right. What about like if you want to change your location? Are you able to work on different locations of Apple?
I think that's also possible for short terms. I know there's a possibility like you can do internship in other offices, in other teams for short terms, like 3 months, 6 months. But let's say usually changing places happens not that easy. Let's say if it is really necessary, the Apple would love you to reallocate. But of course, if you go into these internship programs, internal internship programs, there's still opportunity, even with these internal internships. Like let's say right now I'm working in NLP, but I want to go working a bit in computer vision. And from the internal system, I got accepted. Somehow I worked 3 months in there and came back. Even with this way, I heard there were some people who changed their teams and started in another office in another places. But usually, if you want to stay in the same team, probably for you to move to another office, it will take some time because like they brought you here for a reason. Like you are already integrated into this team. If they think you would be more valuable in another team, then they would reallocate you.
Okay. Now I want to ask you some questions about like living in Spain. How was your first days at Spain? And did Apple help you to get used to the new location, new country?
Yeah, Apple was quite generous, to be honest. Like when I first came, they gave me 1 month flat, and for me to find apartment in 1 month. And actually, in that time, just COVID quarantine hit us, and even they offered to extend my 1 month stay. But yeah, in that time, I already found my place and I moved. Except from that, of course, when you came, people are kind of welcoming you and they take you out to the lunch, to the dinner. They want you to also integrate socially. They put interest on you. And next to that one, when you also come, there's a reallocation package with a lot of benefits. Like they also give you some agency to help you find your flat. So basically, your agency takes care of everything, and you are just basically visiting flats and decide which flats you want. And also, there are some other, bureaucratic things: opening bank account, registering city hall, and everything. They also help a lot with those things. And for me, the first month, let's say it was fun, because like the first month is also the most chill time. You're just getting training. They don't expect much from you, or let's say it's not stressful yet.
Yeah.
And yeah, basically I was trying to get out in the evenings, find nice places to eat, nice music, and meet different people with meetups. It was amazing. And afterwards, of course, there was quarantine time. It was a bit bummer, let's say. But let's say Barcelona is an amazing city, not just for traveling, also for living.
So you mentioned quarantine and everything. So I want to ask, how was COVID times for you and your work on Apple and your life in Spain? How did it affect you?
Let's say as a work-wise, it was all right, because also we are provided everything from the office. We were allowed to carry everything, the screens, your computer, all the equipment you have. Even they paid the taxi money for that, so you can work comfortably. And somehow it affects the work maybe in the only manner, like you have to do a lot of video calls, because right now you cannot talk to everyone face to face.
Right.
And when you do video calls start taking your significant portion of your time. And sometimes you also feel like you don't have much time left for your work. And sometimes you feel like you are doing overtime because of these video calls. And as social life, yeah, it was kind of quite boring because lockdown was pretty strict in here. Like you're literally just allowed to go out for your grocery shopping or, I don't know, for medical reasons. And whenever a police sees you, they will directly sending you home. And yeah, the first 3 months, the lockdown was more or less 3 months. It was a bit stressful in social terms, but afterwards the summer was comparatively easy.
So before the COVID has appeared, how was your, what are your thoughts about living in Spain? And were you able to travel Spain when you were able to go out?
Not the first time that I came. After actually the lockdown has ended in the summertime, I traveled more. Like in the June, I think in the beginning of June, if I'm not remembering wrong, the places started opening, and I already went to some nearby places, like the famous beaches, some places in Basque region. It's quite nice, totally. I understand like why Spanish people are so chill. And let's say culture-wise, they also kind of are nice, all the time smiling. Somehow also like you don't understand each other, but they will still try to communicate you, and somehow I would say maybe cozy. But of course, I would also definitely suggest anyone who thinks about living in Spain learn Spanish. Because unfortunately their English level is not that perfect. Maybe in the big cities, city centers, you would be okay. But when you go completely, I don't know, small city, maybe not that famous Spanish cities, you would be surprised. They don't understand, and sometimes they also don't communicate very well. You don't understand at all. The communication is broken completely.
You kind of answered my last question. I was going to ask how is it living at a place that you don't know your language? Does it affect your daily life? Does it affect your daily life? I think you didn't answer this. At the place that you are living right now.
Let's say not that insignificant ratio, because also, first of all, like Barcelona is kind of comparatively touristic place. So
Right.
even if you go to a shopping place, most of the time they understand English, but sometimes they cannot communicate. And also like my office friends are usually international. And so far, I was mostly hanging out with the friends from office. But of course, at some point, I also want to get to know local people. And yeah, let's see. I think for now, I would say maybe after 6 months language training, it would be easier to adapt to place.
Right. So I'm gonna just ask some of the questions at chat. So there is a question from Anas Azam. Can you recommend some of the courses that some courses for computer vision and deep learning which are available at Coursera, edX, and or
Coursera? Let me think. It of course depends on your interest area. But I would say like if you are recently new to this term deep learning and computer vision, don't go too rush. Don't take heavy courses. Maybe it might be even more helpful to start something like data analysis, because like without knowing your data, basically the machine learning you are doing is kind of, yeah, it might work, but also if it doesn't work, you will not know why it doesn't work. So you will be really attentive to details. And for that, you need to know your data and how to label what is more important, which kind of features are more important, and a little bit statistics courses maybe would be also help. Like, I'm not sure if you are familiar with ANOVA test, t-test, z-test, all those things, this course. Somehow these things might be also important to evaluate your test and data set. Because if you ever read actually some literature, you will see like in the results section how they compare, like if it is significantly good improvement or if it is baseline. Those kind of things may be like statistic tools, like maybe learning some Ruby, R might help. But I would say for right now in the beginning, just like try to get familiar with the machine learning terms, and maybe like after you feel more comfortable with computer programming, with let's say mathematical terms, then you can slowly go into deep learning, machine learning.
Okay.
I mean, depends, yeah.
Okay, so there is a question from Kaan Ata. Can you mention interview process of Apple? Is there any questions which measure your creativity rather than your field knowledge?
Yeah, definitely. There was an interview like that too. Let's say they were the first 2-3 interviews are comparatively easy. The first 2-3 interviews are getting to know you, your background check, like what you did so far. And next that one, if you can do programming or like how well your programming skills are. And with the programming interviews, I think something like HackerRank problems even would help. Like if you can do like the medium level HackerRank problems, it would be more than enough. Because like also they know you will be under stress. They don't expect you to give perfect solution. And 45 minutes, usually the interviews are around 45 minutes. And I would suggest if you going to interview with any company, like try to be interactive. Like first put the simplest solution ever. Okay, the first solution which is coming to my mind is blah blah. And later on, the other person will also push you anyhow. Like, okay, what if we change this blah blah? Then you would think together, okay, let me think about that. How about this? I would do that, blah blah. You would go in an interactive way. That's much more beneficial. And yeah, like the creative part, there was specifically an interview for that one. And for that one, literally, they were giving real world scenarios. Like you have this much blah blah, this population in this blah blah, and how would you compute this blah blah kind? I mean, now I know the blah blah part doesn't make sense. But let's say like puzzle. They would give you some analytical puzzles, and they will try to see how you are thinking about the problems. And in that time, I would also suggest to get more information because they give you very broad question, very basic question. And if you can specify as much as you can look at the question in a better way.
Okay, thank you. We have a question. Can she give some information about her master's in Germany?
Can I give what?
Some more information about your master's in Germany.
Okay, my master's in Germany. Maybe I can tell what I did in my master's studies in cognitive systems. When I first started, like basically in cognitive system, you would take both psychology classes, but psychology in terms of cognitive psychology. And in cognitive psychology, you would see the human brain, a little bit neuroscience, a little bit psychology, like how the humans are learning new stuff and how you learn as a baby. And afterwards, how the memory is working, like how this short-term memory, long-term memory is working. And next to that one, like the human memory capabilities, like how much we can process in one time. And afterwards, you take basic computation classes. It can be even something simple like fundamentals of linear algebra. The first year is, because also there are some people coming from psychology major, so they didn't take mathematics courses for 5 years. So they would also give all these basic information, like the basic mathematical courses, to make sure everyone is on the same level. But let's say if you are coming from the psychology field, I saw they had a harder time, because like let's say you are competing with the people, computer science people, who already knows how to program and also who already knows all the mathematical concepts. But of course, don't be encouraged. Right now, actually, one of the psychology major from that program is working in Bosch and computer science position. So yeah, it can be harder, but it's great. Next to that one, afterwards, you get more specific courses. And I went with computer vision classes. In the computer vision classes, we were studying basically, it was a little bit more like autonomous cars, what I did actually, somehow by using computer vision, how we can improve these autonomous cars, how to allocate, I don't know, yourself in a place, and how to take cues, like it can be even like pedestrian or traffic light detection. And something in these lines, it can be very analytical concepts as well, something like motion detection. And let me think what else. A little bit into like dynamics of machine learning. Like as a machine learning system, you have neural networks and they are dynamic systems. And if you need to understand how to improve your model, you also need to know mathematical concepts, but they are a bit too much detail for now to give. I would say I did mostly computer vision classes afterwards, and I ended up doing my master thesis in ETH Zurich about generative adversarial networks. And generative adversarial networks, I don't know if you ever heard, it's also called GANs. What I was doing, trying to imitate the human emotions. Let's say I'm taking my profile pictures and I'm conditioning on sad, happy, angry, afraid, all those kind of emotions. And maybe it would create my face smiling or angry. Somehow it's kind of, yeah, generating new examples by the condition that you give. Somehow it was super interesting for me, because also guns are super trending topics right now. And computer vision is, let's say, a bit more ahead of NLP right now. Like computer vision is easier because the data dimension that you have is kind of a bit more limited. As a language, your data dimension is huge, literally infinite almost. And somehow also like seeing computer vision, maybe if we can apply the computer vision techniques to NLP at some point. Right now, many people in the academy is working on that, more or less.
Okay, thank you. We have a question from Burak. Have you done any research or projects during your undergraduate education? What were the extra things that got you accepted into the master's program?
To be honest, when I was in undergraduate study, except from my bachelor thesis, I did very basic things. Like I did some analysis again related to computer vision in that time. It was about the neural cells, and by taking the picture of neural cells, it was trying to classify the neuron types for detection of some disease. But for me in that time, everything was quite straightforward. They basically gave me the tool and just run this and analyze this. So I would say as a bachelor, I hope, of course, you can try to be taking initiatives, and I think that's great. Talk with different people, maybe from student clubs, master students, your professor, your assistant. But also, it's okay not to take that much importance in the project. Probably they will give you some basic stuff in the beginning, so you would have the chance to watch how the project is going. But also, like somehow, let's say you would do most of the time basic things. I'm not trying to discourage you, but usually in bachelor level, people wouldn't expect much from you. They would know you still need to learn a lot. So I think, yeah, take an initiative as much as you can, and start with basic things. And as you can do more, probably they will give you more.
Can you give an answer, like a brief answer, if there's like any extra things that got you accepted into the masters?
Let me think. Maybe I think I was also working in the robotic clubs in that time. And in the robotic clubs, we were also doing some trainings for Arduino at that time. We also went to robotic competition. Somehow, I think those little things maybe might have affected overall. But except from that, I think maybe somehow also because if you are accepted as TA, it also shows that you are qualified good in that domain. But except from that, until bachelor thesis, I think the bachelor thesis was the hardest thing that I had done in my bachelor time, because it was more a general project. You had to come up. You had to come up with your own solution. Sometimes you also cannot. Let's say you can get stuck, and you need to read a lot of literature. It was more interesting time, but also maybe I couldn't express very well. As a bachelor student, don't be discouraged if they give you basic stuff, and try to take initiative as much as you can.
Okay, thank you. Now I think Berke will ask if there's any more questions, because I kind of have to go. It was really nice to meet you, and thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah, sure. It was a pleasure.
I think Berke will take over from here. Thank you.
Yeah. See you. Bye-bye.
Hello.
Hello.
So
how are you?
I'm fine. What about you? Okay, so one of the people asked is it possible to get scholarship in Germany or Switzerland for masters?
For Germany, I think there's this scholarship. I think TEV, Türk Eğitim Vakfı, is giving for the master programs in Germany. You can check that one, and that is pretty good one already. It's called TEV BAD scholarship, and except from that, I applied to this one. But let's say usually finding a scholarship in Europe is a bit more harder, because in US side, there is these programs where you can do both PhD and master together in 5 years. And sometimes people apply to that one because it might be easier to take acceptance to that one. And usually also Europe, if you are not European citizen, you have to pay a tuition fee. So people, instead of paying tuition fee, they apply for this PhD program usually. Except from that, I'm not sure. I don't recall. For Switzerland, I would say, unfortunately, the scholarship positions are even much more limited. There are some scholarships given by Swiss government, but you have to apply at least 1 year ago before you start the program. But let's say both in Germany and Switzerland, I think, if I don't recall incorrectly, the education should be free. You don't pay tuition fees, you just need to cover your own needs.
Okay, so if there is any more questions, you can ask, but if there's no more questions, we can end it here, I think. We covered most of the things, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I guess there is no questions. Okay. Thank you for joining, Sevim. It was very joyful and helpful for us. I hope you enjoyed it as well.
Yeah, I hope also you enjoyed. I'm not sure if I made the things clear or if I confused you even more. I hope you feel at least a bit more clarification in terms of, I don't know, at least maybe interviewing in companies, what you expect from bachelor and master. And yeah, if you...
there is one last question, I suppose. Would you say linguist and linguistics is somehow useful to language engineering, NLP and machine learning?
Yeah. I would say definitely it's helpful, a lot helpful, because if you know the structure of your language and like somehow in linguistic terms, you also know all the phonemes or the morphemes, all the details about language, that helps a lot. Otherwise, if you are working as a language engineer, you are learning them on the path. Of course, like they don't, I mean, you can learn them on the way. Also, if you are a linguist, somehow you can also maybe learn machine learning on the way. But I would say if you have time, it's good to spare time. If you are really interested in NLP, yes. Otherwise, I think it depends on the preferences. Let's say for a position in ML, it's not that necessary.
Okay. Thank you for your answers again. I hope it helped, Ali.
Yeah, I hope it helped. I don't know, like if you have any other questions, I think we can spare 10 more minutes or otherwise, yeah, I think thanks so much for sparing time for me as well. Otherwise, yeah, I hope you all enjoyed.
Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. Thank you for joining us today. Sevim, it was very helpful, at least for me.
Thanks so much as well.
So,
and yeah, hopefully, let's say hopefully we will come across again. And if you have other questions, you can try to write me from LinkedIn. I will try to answer as much as I can, but also sometimes I can give late answers. So I'm sorry for that if you ever write me.
Okay, then also everyone, thank you for joining, and we will be ending our meeting right now. So I hope we will see you again soon, or at least I hope in Apple we will see you in Apple, but if not, we will see you in another alumni meeting maybe. Okay, thank you for everything.
Hopefully, yeah. Thanks so much as well for spending time, and have a good evening.
Okay, see you later.